Now, an in-depth look at the news and information shaping our community. This is Moose Talks with your host, Doug Craig, on Moose FM.
Good morning. Welcome to another episode of the show. A little later on, Fort St. John was named Canada's 8th sexiest city by Pinkcherry.ca, an online adult toy store. So for some local reaction, we're going to chat with Veronica's closet owner, Kim Kelly, about just how sexy Fort St. John really is. But first, Dawson Creek Mayor Dale Bumstead announced this week that he won't be seeking re-election in the fall. He's been the mayor of Dawson Creek for the past 9 years. To talk about that and the year that was in the Mile Zero City, we're very grateful to be joined now by the mayor of Dawson Creek, Dale Bumstead. Mayor Bumstead, thanks for being on Moose Talks again.
Good morning. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
So let's start with a bit of the year that was before we talk about your retirement. Lots of good things happened in Dawson Creek, but I hate to focus on the negative, but there was some stories that kind of grabbed national attention of things that happened in the city. Like, for example, the council meeting incident where somebody was putting up racist language during that. I have to ask about that situation specifically. Something like that had never really happened before, if I remember right. So was that surprising to you that it happened in the first place, or did it surprise you that it hadn't happened before, given how accessible these meetings were beforehand, and really anybody could log in and post something like that if they wanted to?
Yeah, so first of all, that meeting that we had in September was really at the announcement by the province and some of the new public health orders at that time that were being implemented. And really, we were getting lots of feedback in the community, people concerned, right? And how are you guys not going to push back on the public health orders? And what are you going to do about facilities and impacting people's access to them? And so for all of us who are in local government, and certainly in British Columbia, we operate under the community charter enacted by and given that authority by the province of British Columbia to operate as a municipality. And so you really don't have the option to ignore some of the laws or some of the orders, and certainly the public health orders that are issued. And so I thought personally, as the mayor, I thought it was important that we have that transparency of communication on what we're doing and why we do it, and what our options are as elected officials and elected representatives. So that meeting was really about that, to be able to explain to the public what we were doing with the public health orders and the options we had in regards to the adherence to the orders and how we operate our facilities and or not. And really, we have two options in the municipalities when it comes to the public health orders in our facilities. We can either operate them according to the public health orders, or we close them. And so that day, and we all have procedures around our council meetings, and certainly we have a council procedure bylaw, and it's not a town hall meeting. It's not one where people can come and engage with council unless they've requested ahead of time an opportunity to appear as a delegation and give us the opportunity to understand what it is that they want to present to council as we're elected to do. But there also is the opportunity for people who come unannounced and to with unanimous consent of council, to be able to give people the opportunity to present to council. And that's exactly how that unfolded that day. And, some people say that democracy is we have the right to have access to our elected officials. And but there's also a balance as well, right? We need to, like I say, it can't be a town hall meeting you're hosting every time where you respond and react. It's that you're dealing with the business of the community. And so to me, that was the unfolding of events that day. And yeah, it created a huge turmoil, I would say, in terms of the response that it got and how it was handled. And you never want to have, I certainly don't want to, have your reputation impacted in a negative way in how that unfolded.
I have to ask Mayor Bumstead, I mean, if I remember right, it was an online thing that was occurring at the time. After it happened, there was word that you're going to change protocol. Not you personally, but the city was looking into changing protocols that would allow people into a meeting like that, how it works and whatnot. Do you?
No, that's not true.
Oh, I apologize.
No. It was a council meeting, a regular called council meeting. And our procedure says that if somebody wants to come and present it requires unanimous consent. So that's our council procedure bylaw.
I
And
see.
that's how it happened that day. 4 or 5 people attended and asked if they could present to council, and council unanimously gave those folks that were there the opportunity to present. So,
I
yeah,
understand.
we weren't looking at changing anything.
I understand. Okay. I also have to, again, one more negative thing I want to talk about is anti-masker Kevin J. Johnson, who, of course, made headlines, again, national headlines, for assaulting a No Frills manager when he was kicked out for refusing to wear a mask. I mean, what do you think? And I don't know if you can speak to this about this, but why do you think something like that grabbed headlines? Is it because the fact that it's Dawson Creek and it's a small community where it happened? And do you think if it had happened in a larger city, we maybe wouldn't be talking about it to the same extent we were when it did happen?
Yeah, that guy grabbed attention negatively in Toronto,
Yeah.
Calgary, and Edmonton. So I don't think it had anything to do at all with the fact that it was Dawson Creek. It was just this guy coming into our community and clearly was in here to cause trouble. And you know, I got no time for that, right? Move on.
All right. Well, I want to look back then to
Not to you. Yeah.
No,
Not to you.
I understand.
You come into your Yeah,
I
you come into a
understand what you're
community
saying, Mayor. I do want to look.
down to cause trouble. And
Absolutely.
that's all he did, and now he's in jail.
Yeah.
Right? Now he's in jail. So that speaks to the caliber of the individual.
I do want to move.
Bad for No Frills is who I really feel bad about because he clearly took the brunt of the personal attack, the personal assault by this guy, and it was clearly unfair to him. Head and shoulders above anything that happened to our community. It was clearly unfair to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I do want to move on to some more positive things now, if I can. Looking back, kind of just to the last year, again, where some of these negative things happened. It was another year of pandemic. Tensions were frayed among people at times. I mean, what was something good that happened this year that you're maybe really proud of, that you maybe took part in as mayor of Dawson Creek, that you're really kind of hanging your hat on?
You know, there were so many really good things that occur, but unfortunately they get overwhelmed by what's going on in the world and our country. And you know, we've built huge relationships with our Treaty 8 neighbors, and we've got so many really good things going on in terms of moving forward as a community and a region with the Soto, West Moberly, the Doig, the Blueberry, Halfway, Provident, Fort Nelson. So I'm really, really proud of that. You know, one of the things that I've always really tried to engage in as a mayor over the last 9 years is I get into the schools as often and as much as I can with the elementary schools. And I'm very proud of the fact that the kids in our community know who their mayor is and get an opportunity to have a discussion. And so that I do that on a regular basis. I'm very, very proud of that. You know, we continue to build upon this relationship with Hockey Canada and having these hockey events. And unfortunately, it was not to be as a result of the pandemic, but we're certainly looking forward to this year and moving ahead with that. We got some real solid infrastructure stuff done. We got another $7 million infrastructure grant from the federal government and built another piece of our road infrastructure to help mitigate and reduce the risk of flood mitigation. The 8th Street Bridge, right now, I call it Site D, is now going to be removed, and we're going to have a bridge there that's going to reduce the risk of flooding. We had an announcement last year that we're going to get a new acute care facility, a new hospital in Dawson Creek for the Dawson Creek and District for the entire region. And man, I've been working on that for a long, long time and helping try to push that across the line to get that announcement by the province done with MLA Bernier and certainly all the folks around the region who have been supportive of it. And honestly, that's probably the biggest announcement that we've had in terms of our community, I think, in the 9 years I've been here. We also saw the arrival of WestJet into Dawson Creek in September, and you know, same thing, right? I'm very, very proud of the work that we did in terms of building a business case to WestJet to say there's a viable business opportunity in Dawson Creek for the South Piece with a direct connection to Calgary. And man, right in the heart of the pandemic, WestJet, they were supposed to launch it the year before, and because of the pandemic, they delayed it, and they pulled the trigger on it in September. And you know what? It's been so good to see that flight coming in here on 4 days a week right now, and looking to build it into a 6 day a week, hopefully 7 day a week flight and service. And it's so important to our industry, so important to our residents. And so, yeah, so there, you know what, we're not sitting on our hands. We've been building community, and those are all things I'm very proud of.
Excellent. Well, let's talk about your announcement earlier this week that you're not going to be running for re-election in the fall. As you mentioned, you've been the mayor for 9 years now. I wonder if in brief you can sort of tell us why you decided to make that decision and why now?
Yeah, 9 years is a very long time in public office, I think. And when I got elected in a by-election, I finished out the 1 year term in 2013, and I always hoped I would do one term. But man, it's easy to get pulled into the excitement and all the really cool things you get to do as a mayor and an elected representative of a community. And so then in 2018, you know, I was still pushing the hospital and pushing a bunch of other stuff, so I stayed in. But 9 years it's good to have change. It's good to have fresh leadership. It's good to have fresh vision and perspective and direction. And I just, you know what, I'm 66 years old. I'm going to be 67 this fall. 4 years is a long commitment when you're, you know, in that kind of stage. And so I felt in fairness to the community, and in fairness to my family, and in fairness to the direction of the community, that it's a good time to step away. And then, you know, like I said, I'd be 71 when I was done. And so it's just the right time. 9 years is I'm really proud of that. And you know, I look back on the history of Dawson Creek. The longest serving mayor in our community was Bob Trail. He served, I think, like 25 years or something. It was amazing in terms of how much leadership our community got from Bob. But I'm the second longest serving mayor in Dawson Creek, and that's crazy to me that mayors don't seem to last more than a couple terms at the most. So I thought it was better to show myself the door than somebody else showing it to me.
Fair enough, Mayor. I have to ask you this then. I mean, part of the reason you gave for announcing it too was you wanted to make sure there was enough time for the next people to decide if they wanted to run, what they do, that sort of thing. What's your hope for the next person who takes over and gets elected in the fall? What are you looking to see from them when you then become one of their constituents?
Sure. Yeah, you know, honestly, I think Dawson Creek's got a great quality of life. We've got great amenities. We have great services. We're in a really good position with our core infrastructure, water, sewer, our facilities, the event center, the pool, all of that stuff. But we really worked hard at trying to build a strong financial future for our community, and it was tough the last 3 or 4 years, particularly cutting spending and trying to find a way to ensure we were building a strong financial future. And so I just hope that the new council continue on that direction. And I think that's an expectation. The number one issue people give when they elect people is be fiscally responsible. Be responsible with the taxpayers' dollars. And so to me, I'm proud of that. Right now, we've set ourselves on a really solid future in our financial position, and I hope that they carry on with that.
All right. Well, Mayor, I'm really appreciative that you took a few minutes to chat with us about this today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dub, for having me on. I really appreciate it, and obviously want to wish everybody all the best, and hopefully we all move forward in a really positive way this spring and see a great summer. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. That's Mayor Dale Bumstead, the mayor. Welcome back to Moose Talks. I'm Dub Craig. Now, as you may have heard, Fort St. John was named Canada's 8th sexiest town, according to Pinkcherry.ca, an adult toy store, and that's based upon consumer purchases and behavior over the past week. We've finished in the top 10 before, so I thought we'd talk about it from a local angle with a local owner of a local adult toy store. So joining us now, Kim Kelly from Veronica's Closet here in Fort St. John. Kim, welcome to Moose Talks. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this morning.
Good morning.
So I thought we'd talk about this first because, of course, this Pinkcherry.ca is an online toy store, adult toy store, I should say. So I wondered if you can sort of see sort of the same trends in your own store from people coming in. Have you been seeing a lot of business? Are you keeping busy? Do you think that Fort St. John is a sexy city, as they say?
Oh, I definitely think Fort St. John's a sexy city. I'm not terribly surprised. I guess I thought that larger centers might come out ahead of us, but I think that it's pretty great that we got voted where we did. Business is definitely steady and climbing. The pandemic affected me a little bit in different ways, but we're definitely maintaining.
I have to ask, I'm glad you brought up the pandemic. You say it affected you. I kind of assume from your tone in kind of a negative way, you saw business maybe slow down a bit, or am I wrong about that?
Well, the ways that it affected me personally is because I also have indoor tanning. That was shut down, of course, for several months. And people not being able to get married, that affected people buying lingerie. So I really felt it there, not having wedding season for quite some time. And then also, people assumed that I was closed back in 2020 because most businesses shut their doors. So a lot of people just assumed that I was closed, even though I was still open. So that's some of the ways that the pandemic affected my store.
Okay. So when maybe that changed, I mean, it kind of begs the question. People are at home more. They're working from home. Dating was obviously a huge challenge at the start of the pandemic. People maybe started to work it out as it went along. I mean, did it surprise you then that you didn't see an uptick in sales when people were maybe lonelier than they have been because of, restrictions on where they could go and who they could see?
Well, I did see an increase in sales in that department of my store.
Okay.
Some of the other areas of my store were affected more than the adult side of my store. I definitely have seen an increase in that department.
Okay. And in general then, like you said, you were kind of surprised that we finished higher in the rankings than some other larger centers, for example. Why do you think adult toys are so popular in a place like Fort St. John that maybe they're less popular in, different places that might be a similar size or even larger than us? Do you think there's some compelling reasons as to what might explain that?
Well, I think perhaps a few things. Well, one, we have long winters, so people are indoors a lot more than warmer places. I think the kind of work that people do here keeps them apart for longer periods of time. So they either want things for personal needs or they want things to share with a partner because they haven't seen them for a long stretch. People who just want to spice things up. But I think definitely the long winters, the being apart for long periods of time. Plus, when people work in the oil patch, they make a lot of money and they're not afraid to spend it when they want something fun.
So you got a little more, there's a more disposable income that allows for purchases like this. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I have to ask, though,
I think so.
I noticed, like, when we put up the story posting that we'd finished this high, most of the comments were pretty good and pretty positive, or some people kind of enjoying it and having a laugh about the situation. We did get some negative comments, though, and some people objected, perhaps, to the picture we put up about it. Did that surprise you at all? And I also have to ask, considering the sort of conservative bent that this town has, does it surprise you that we finished that high in the rankings, given kind of that situation as well?
Well, I'm absolutely not surprised at the negative comments
Sure.
because that just comes with anything. I mean, you could post a picture of a puppy and somebody will find something not nice to say.
Mm-hmm.
So it absolutely didn't surprise me. I lost my train of thought.
Well, what I was kind of going for too was kind of the conservative leaning kind of part of this town.
Conservative.
Not necessarily even politically,
Yes.
but just in general. I found it surprising, given that kind of the area we're in and all that, that we would finish so high on the list. What do you think of that?
Well, I think that people are less conservative at home than they are, in everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, kind of their home lives are just different than what they portray to people. So, people are a lot more open-minded in regards to intimacy than they let on.
All right. Well, it was certainly fun to see that we did so well. And Valentine's Day, of course, is coming up on Monday, I believe. So quickly, if you can, Kim, tell us why someone should come by today and maybe check out your wares at Veronica's Closet over the weekend. May find something for Valentine's Day.
Oh, well, we have stocked our store to its seams, and I think that if you want something to gift to a loved one, or even if you just want to buy something for yourself, some lingerie, or some massage products, or even maybe something a little bit racier, we can definitely hook you up with that.
All right. Well, Kim, I really appreciate you taking a few minutes to talk with us today about this. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Very welcome. That's Kim Kelly, the owner of Veronica's Closet right here in Fort St. John.